and they're full of cumin and black pepper.
Oh,
So I'm a
nice.
little, I'm breathing fire a little bit.
A spicy taco.
You know it. Oh. But I've eaten them now, so I won't be crunching down the microphone while we're trying to be professional.
Us professional? What you saying?
I know. Perish the thought.
I know. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Poppadom extravaganza that is Failcast F1 for the 2019 Force Failure Finale. Ba-ba-ba-ba-bum. My name is Balkenberg, and alongside me, as always, with his cumin surprise, our taco friend, Mr. Definitely Zero. How you doing?
Hola, hombre. I'm doing really, really good. I've finished my poppadoms, though, so the poppadom extravaganza won't be much of an extravaganza, unfortunately. Although you can, of course, BYOP and bring your own poppadoms. Yeah, unfortunately, Codemasters have diddled us, haven't they? And this is actually the season finale, and you go into it 12 points clear, you cheeky monkey.
Boo. I fear, though, that some of those tracks towards the end of the season you're slightly stronger at than me, so I bet that would have evened up quite nicely.
Well, it's funny you say that, actually, because I'm actually quite good at Russia, so here's hoping
And
to
I'm
go
not.
out on a bang. However, just a moment, I have to wash down my poppadoms with this week's beverage. We're back on the Red Bull edition.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Back to standard.
oh, it's good. It's good. It's blueberry and it's good. So, of course, we missed the Spanish Grand Prix,
Yes.
which we were saying beforehand was probably for the best because shit. And now we've got Monaco to talk about, or attempt to talk about, because, you know, what do you say? There is a bit in the news bag, though, so we do have quite a bit to talk about. The one thing I've forgotten, though, is, and I forget this every year when we come to Russia, is this the track that's super easy on tyres or super hard on tyres? Because I just did some
Super
practice
easy.
laps. Yeah, I thought so. Thought it was. See,
You still have to be aware of the tyre temperature a little bit, but no, the wear doesn't occur very much around here.
sweet. So maybe I will deviate like a deviant
Ooh.
from the standard tyre selection.
You saucy
Dare
taco.
I? Dare we dream?
Hashtag Dare to
we
Dream.
dream?
How very Eurovision of you.
I have very small dreams, obviously. Well, actually, no, because if I switch to softer tyres, I've only got hypersofts for quali. No, then.
No, I'll be balancing my way through. I'm not so great round this track because it's almost like I get lost in the sea of tarmac and then forget where I'm supposed to be braking. Particularly Sector 2.
Do you know, I wanted to dislike this track when it joined the calendar, but it's been one of my strongest tracks on the game since it came into the sport. And it's even my best weather as well.
Ah, schnauzer. Oh, dry for the race, though.
I nearly went out with that. I was so confident there, I almost felt the need to entirely skip the part of the show where I set up my car. just fuck it, let me out. I've kept it nice and simple with my setups here. I have one setup titled Russia, as opposed to Singapore, where I have Singapore high, low, and Singapore. So, I'll just have another sip of my blueberry drink. One moment. Ooh, that is a refreshing beverage.
Juicy.
We have quite a lot to talk about. Very little of it I'm finding to do with the race. In fact, I have more to say about qualifying than I do about the race. Which is, you know, a little bit of an odd situation to put myself in. Although I didn't do it to myself, did I? The sport did it to me. The sport that I love and continues to abuse me. Since I don't have very much to say, though, I did want to dip very quickly into the world of Formula E because, of course, the Berlin E-Prix was quite recently, and I did get myself along for a cheeky look. I love it there, man. I really do. Like, the entertainment that you get for the price. I mean, the ticket prices have stayed the same, and it's just grown bigger and bigger and bigger every year.
Track is one of the best, I think, if not the best in Formula E as well.
Yeah, although I've been 4 out of 5 years, and I'm yet to see an accident.
Oh no!
And I was cursing from the stands. I was like, "Damn it! You all have to be so competent. Can't one of you just bin it?" I saw one of the BMW cars getting a bit leery under braking. Like it seemed to be a bit skittish on the brakes. And I have to say, with the Generation 2 cars, it's the first time I've felt really able to visually see who's set up for the track properly and who isn't, because with the Generation 1 cars, you just saw that some cars were falling further and further behind lap after lap when they came round turn 1. This year, you could see them taking different lines and struggling for grip and everything. I saw Susie Wolf's team, Venturi, looked just crap in practice. Neo as well looked awful. Their lines through some of the corners just to get the car round were truly, truly awful. And that was a car that was shaking quite a lot under braking. The one thing that did generally shine out to me, though, is that because they've got a standardised aero and everything, if there's like an inherent problem with the design of the car, they all kind of struggle with it and have to try and offset it. And the more laps I saw done, the more I realised that at least coming off the start-finish straight into turn 1, which is where I was sat, a lot of them seemed to, under braking, behave very erratically. It looked like the drivers were fighting them, not while turning, but while under braking. I don't know if it was like an aero issue or a balance problem or what, but they all seem to, like under heavy braking, the car seems to go a bit skew-whiff.
I wonder if that's to do with the regen, and maybe because it actively, like, I don't know why, but in my head I'm like, maybe it's causing some weird forces somewhere, and then they have to like wrestle its arse round. I don't know.
It's entirely possible. It just surprised me. Like it's definitely seemed to affect some more than others. But as a general rule of thumb, it was you know the dish of the day, shall we say? And it just surprised me because I thought like surely you'd look at that and go, okay, that's something to note for next year, and maybe Spark have. I just didn't expect to see that. You know, I thought, okay, because it's basically a control chassis, that it'd be not necessarily a high-performance chassis, but one that sort of works well across the widest range of conditions. And to see something like that, and the only thing I can think of that it reminds me of is, do you remember the F1 2014 game? There was a problem that only struck with the McLaren, that awful, anemic-looking silver, the last McLaren Mercedes. With the dick nose, like Gonzo. Hi, cock nose. It was like that. You brake, and I don't know if it's like the car's lifting off its, because normally on the braking, like the weight would shift to the front, and your front wheels would press in, but it's almost like the opposite is happening to what should, and that's what it looked like. Other observations I can make are that Jaguar have fixed whatever made their car so much louder than everyone else's last year. Most of the cars look fantastic. I think it's a really great livery selection. I still think the talent on the grid is fantastic. There's a very there's a great deal of breadth and depth of talent that's there on merit. Oh, I balls this lap up. Talking of merit,
I went off the track completely. 7 seconds off.
I forgot my own rule there. I was pushing too hard, and you don't push in the rain because that actually slows you down. And I tell you, that's the one thing that stuck out to me actually. That you can tell there are no pay drivers in that sport. You know that they're all there on merit, and you can see that by the way that they could, you know, obviously race very close to each other with. I didn't see any particular instances, but also during practice they were getting quite close to each other. and I was impressed by almost all the drivers, because it seemed like where they were fluffing that corner, it was purely because of the car behaving the way it did on the braking.
Right.
I have to say, out of all of them, Techeetah seemed to have that problem fixed the best. I don't know what it is with Techeetah, but I mean, they continue to kind of over-deliver, don't they? But also, you know, the fan zone, fucking brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I saw up close and personal with cars from almost every team that you could touch. Kids could climb all over.
Wow.
I sent you that picture from inside an Andretti.
Oh yeah, that looked amazing. How the hell did you get in that?
I didn't. I'm too fat, but my camera fit in.
Oh, okay.
But
the fact that you could even poke a camera in there, though, is just like, wow.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's the first time I've touched a Formula car. And I was disappointed, because I always wanted carbon fibre to feel as special as it supposedly is, and it doesn't. It feels like plastic.
Oh no!
Yeah, it feels like cheap plastic.
Was it like Lidl discount only, where you've been told that you've been bought Guess Who, but it's really just called Who Is It?
Yeah, exactly. And all the cards look the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got up close and personal with the BMW Andretti car, the Jaguar, the Audi. Oh shit! I've run out of fuel. What a monumental dick. And pleasingly, Porsche were there.
Oh.
They had a whole area set up. They were pitching their electric cars, but they had one of their Formula E cars there that you could clamber on and take pictures of, and they'd set it up for photos.
Oh, awesome.
I don't know if you saw it on my Instagram, but they had like a hashtag in the background and like these props that were sort of at a weird angle, and it made it look very cool. But you can actually see some differences between the cars when you're up close and personal with them. Of particular note for me was I noticed something a little bit interesting with some of the suspension bits on the BMW. And I could jam my camera between the spokes of the wheels to take a look at brakes and everything. It was very, very cool.
How good
they
is
also
that?
have all the simulators set up.
Yeah.
They're giving out free water in reusable water bottles. And then like the range of food and everything and drink was there. No queues for anything because it was so well catered. And then there was a live band between all the sessions, and the band was genuinely good, really good. I don't know who they were, but very, very good, like a covers band. I saw Nico Rosberg.
You had me
He
until
didn't
then.
recognise me.
Oh, okay.
There was a blimp, and I love blimps, so that was another highlight for me.
Cool.
And I missed the driver meet and greet, but I was fine with that. After I embarrassed myself that year, Nick Heidfeld came up and asked me if I wanted a photo, and I was like, no thank you, because I didn't recognise him. Everyone was taking pictures with him, and I remember I was there with Anna, and I said, I was asked like, who's that? I was like, I don't know, I think it's a mechanic.
Oh,
because he was so small, like he would fit into an overhead luggage rack, and I thought, Nick Heidfeld's taller than that, surely. And it turns out, no, it was Nick Heidfeld, and I basically like affronted him publicly.
Amazing. Whereas this year he was actually in the Formula E commentary box with Jack Nicholls, covering for Dario Franchitti, as I go off yet again. Saying very little, actually. He was quite stilted and seemed genuinely disinterested at the fact that he wasn't in the car instead.
I'm not sure why he isn't in the car, to be honest.
Yeah, a bit of a weird one. He's still there as a developmental help thing. I think he's just gone into a more ambassadorial role, maybe. Fancy the children.
But something that was interesting is, so when you're there, if you imagine something like Will Buxton's Paddock Pass, That's going on all the way through, and it's like an internal broadcast for the people on the site, right? So there's screens everywhere and loudspeakers, and you don't hear the TV commentary. You see the world feed, but you get your own commentary done by a German bloke.
Right.
And he's like running around talking to people, and you've got all this build up and in between sessions and interviews in the garages and stuff. It's very cool. Anyway, he was giving us all the latest and greatest news and whatnot, and it was interesting to hear him confirm that Formula E had received more requests for entry, but the grid is now full. So from next year, the grid is completely full, and they can't take any more people. So I'm waiting now for someone like Neo or Mahindra to be bought up, because
right, okay.
Because obviously next year Porsche joined the grid and Mercedes, and that fills it.
So, forgive me, are they additional to bring it up to 24, or are they... And then that's the final grid that they'll have, or are they staying at 20?
Mercedes take over HWA Race Lab.
Oh Christ, yes, so they do. Mm.
And Porsche take up the last grid slot.
Right.
Which brings us, I believe, to 22 cars, but I wonder if it's a supply issue. Because everything has to come from the same suppliers, say for the powertrain and gearbox, right?
Yeah.
Because I've heard it from several sources that Ferrari are on the waiting list but haven't been able to get in, which I think is a lolorama.
Wow. Sums up their year, doesn't it, really?
Yeah. Red Bull have already said, oh, we want real racing, so we won't go to Formula E, which is a very stupid thing to say, considering Formula E is pound for pound the best racing you'll see at the moment.
Yeah.
So... yeah, overall, still highly recommended. My sign-off on this is a quick chat about the shop. So for the first year, they had... oh shit, I've gone out on wets and I should be on inters. Let me come in. They had Mini Champs models.
Ooh.
And you know me, I'm a bit of a sucker for the Mini Champs models. So I was like, oh, hello. I'll maybe get one of these. And what I wanted was either a Virgin or a Nissan Nismo car, because I like the black and silver. It's a very striking livery. Anyway, I get in there, and let's bear in mind, right, the models are ostensibly completely the same.
Right.
Like, totally identical. It's not like in F1 where you can say some cars are a bit more intricate than others. And, you know, because they are legit scale models, right? So... if you look at the Toro Rosso model I got last year, it's super, super detailed, and all the little flares and design touches on the Toro Rosso are replicated to scale. So, you know, some cars are more expensive than others because some have more complex bits. Like the Red Bull's a little bit more expensive because it's got that weird nose ducty thing.
Right.
Anyway, these cars are all identical models, just painted differently. And the Audi and Nissan cars were like €15 more expensive than all the others. So I was like, I'm not having that, and I didn't buy one in the end. The price of the clothing's gone up a little bit, but it's still nowhere near what you pay for Formula One merchandise.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, can we take a moment to quickly boo Alfa Romeo for not opening their shop on their website? It just left it as shop coming soon, and then completely selling out of merchandise on Formula1.com.
Oh.
That's a dick move, because I don't check there. I always buy direct from the teams.
Yeah.
And they didn't announce it or anything, and I really wanted one of their polo shirts, because I think they're gorgeous. But no, they're just totally sold out somewhere else. Didn't even announce it to the fans or on social media or anything that this stuff was available.
Dirtbags. So, well, I'm glad that the merch is still of a decent, at least decent-ish type of thing. But it's a bit of a shame that surely all cars should be created equal, and that's really annoying because then you just know that you're paying for a brand, not necessarily for any extra costs or anything like that. And I would have probably done the same and bolted and gone, no! Did you pick up anything in the end?
No, I didn't. the thing for me was what really bugged me.
Shit.
I shouldn't have been surprised, to be honest. I shouldn't have been disappointed because Nissan took over Renault Edams, and Renault's merchandise was way more expensive than all the others when I was there last year.
Oh, I remember you saying actually now.
And the same thing continues. Like, still props to Jaguar for being very, very, very reasonably priced. Although something I did notice amongst the fans is that you didn't see, like, aside from the fans that were obviously paid to be there, so like corporate guests, and usually they're Audi fans, right? So every year I've been, there's always been a big contingent of people brought by the Schaefer Group. And they're always like decked out in Audi stuff. And this year there was quite a lot of BMW caps, like all sat together in one of the grandstands. It seems that Jaguar and Mahindra are like neck and neck in terms of fans, and I was really surprised to see that. I saw a lot of Mahindra merchandise.
Oh wow!
On the back. Oh shit! I don't have enough time to set another lap, and now I've binned it.
Not lost a wheel though.
No, I'm still in the game. Oh shit, I'm not going to qualify.
Surely you will. Not everyone.
Not if
I'm 19th.
Not if Max Verstappen or Kevin Magnussen improves. Yeah, I'm out.
No.
Yeah. We're both come out in Q1. That's ridiculous.
I'm still on a lap, but I'm not hopeful.
I had the pace for like top 4.
P2.
Did you get through?
Yeah, P2.
Good boy. Good boy. At least someone gets through.
Gold.
I didn't leave myself enough time to complete a lap anyway.
Oh no!
So I went out on the wrong tyres. And then I binned it going into like the second to last corner.
Oh dear.
That sucks. I was so fast, but who else went out? Because the other people,
Oh, both Ferraris.
Vettel, Raikkonen, Van Dorn, and Merrickson, and the Mercedes were lucky to get through.
Yeah. How funny.
Okay.
Boo.
Well, at least I got free choice of tyres.
This is true. I'm expecting a traditional burn from the back from you, from where it's gone wrong. So very quickly then, just before I dive out and do a lappy or so. So whilst you was there, I went to Thruxton, which now makes sense as to why it's been a gap between races, because I was there that weekend and you was at Formula E the one after. And Thruxton for the BTCC, and had a wonderful time there with collection of chummage. We sit into there's only one grandstand really, that's got like 2 specific pillars, and it sits on the final chicane, and you can overlook and see most of the circuit in front of you, because it just basically goes around a farmer's field, if you don't know what Thruxton's all about. They had minis there for the first time, and the mini series was amazing because they're quite slow, but they're also really tiny, so they don't care about going free wide into a chicane and thinking that they'll all come out the other side, because they'll just throw it in regardless. And they're so cute, and then one will always come off worse off, and then you kind of see it do like the dinkiest 360 into a barrier, and you're like, ah, and they were actually some of my favourite bits of the whole weekend. The BTCC was absolutely great. It basically became and this is where the tenuous link back to F1 is, Mark Blundell was in it this year from his return back to racing after loads of years out. He's last in every single session, pretty much. And he was involved in the best qualifying crash I've seen in such a long time, where he basically completed his lap. in qualifying, felt he'd been held up by someone who had moved over for him, waited for him to try and go past into turn one, and just accelerated straight into him and took him out down at turn one. It was amazing.
Class
and then
act.
the guy got onto the tannoy radio, and he's going, "This guy, look at his times. He's 7 seconds off the pace, for crying out loud." He's going like that. It'd be really hilarious. He goes, miles off the pace. When he is there, he's a liability. Why is he on the track? Why is he on the track, bruv? And the guy that's doing the course commentary was going, "Strong opinions there." So we basically became like a Mark Blundell fan club for the rest of the weekend, cheering him as he went through. Only for us to then spot on race day some people with Mark Blundell kit down. And I was like, where can I buy this merch? This is Backmarker Brigade written all over it. For us to start basically shouting at these people to go, "Oi, oi, Blundell posse, who are you?" It was only his family that had gone to go and walk down to the final chicane. So we was all slightly embarrassed and kept quiet for a little bit after that. So yeah, it was good fun. BTCC, very, very good. They're doing 2 runs at Thruxton this year, so they'll go back in the summer. But it was still perfectly fine in terms of attendance and stuff like that. I picked up, although I've just noticed when I washed it that there's a really tiny hole at the back, a Caterham t-shirt.
Oh.
VV good. And then someone who I know that works at Haas took a photo of me holding it to someone that now works at Haas that used to work at Caterham, and she said that she may have some old merch stash for us. So if there's stuff available, she's going to send it over to me through my mate. And if it's possible, I shall get it over to you.
Please do. Please
Caterham
do.
Kings will happen.
Yeah. Oh. Now let's do a Caterham King special.
Yes.
Dressed for the occasion.
Yes. I'm holding out just because there's a mixture of people on inters and dries out there at the minute. So I just want to see which one's faster before I decide what I go for.
On my race coverage doodah,
Yes.
I'm seeing everyone's on inters.
Oh, I've
for some
got
reason.
Sirotkin and Grosjean out on Hypersoft and Ultrasofts. So they're not even on the same dries. How strange. Oh well. So yeah.
Well, hold on, why don't I switch cameras and see who's on what for you? Because I have the godlike powers to do that.
Oh, you beaut.
You're right, Grosjean is on the Hypersofts. What's his sector times like? 38.2, 114.841 through sector 2. I'm going to do a bit of race engineering for you here. How does that compare?
Old sim racing days be gone. I think they might be fastest, you know.
I was going to say, it feels like it could be. Here we go. It's coming round now. Final corner. Actually, I don't know.
Oh yeah, bang
No,
fastest.
there you go, yeah. 145.0524 Hulkenberg. Yeah, that's like 3 seconds clear. Yeah, get out on those drives.
Let's do it. Right, I'm going to go... I'll do hypers first and then see if I can switch through on an ultra after. Right, cool. So yeah, no, Thruxton, really, really enjoyed it. Good experience. The other thing that I wanted to say was that there is a bratwurst stall that only sells bratwursts in a bun, obviously. And they were missing out on not having a Conchita wurst, but they did have a curry wurst. So it's just
Please tell me you tried one.
Of course, I had one each day. It was gorgeous, delightful. So yeah, loads of like proper pub curry sauce drenched over a massive, like foot-long sausage. What is not to love in a slightly spitty rain, Thruxton. So yeah, very, very good. Sorry, one more thing. Last thing I wanted to say about it. is the reason why we choose to go to Thruxton, if you're ever interested in BTCC, is that it's the only place that still basically, once the race event is over and they shut down everything, they open up the paddock to everyone. So you don't even have to have a paddock pass to get in there, which we did do to have a tour around the back and see Jason Plato having a crafty Cornish pasty and a fag at the back, which was quite funny, as part of his engineer debrief. So they open it all up. So we wandered into the paddock after the event. Everyone can do it, and you can photo all the cars. So I was having a good old rummage around Nicholas Hamilton to see how his driver setup was different by poking the camera in the cockpit, and seeing Collard's smashed up touring car because he'd been off the track, but also casually walking behind and around Louise Goodman as she was interviewing all of the drivers post race meet, and trying to not be a dick by like waving and blatantly looking, going, "I'm on camera," whilst trying to do that at the same time. So yeah, all good fun, but you can only do that at Thruxton.
Just so you know, you are currently inhabiting a mirror universe where our current top three are Brendan Hartley, who is 2.9 seconds clear of Sergei Sorokin in second, and Kevin Magnussen is in third. Sorokin
amazing.
has now taken pole.
Oh, please let this world exist for reals.
Sorokin is now on pole.
Shit.
All the guys that were out on Inters are still in the pits. There's enough time for them to get out, obviously, but at the moment the grid looks fantastic.
Please halt that session now.
So 31 minutes into our Formula 1 podcast and we haven't spoken about Formula 1, so shall we get down to it? Yeah, we're coming off the back of the Monaco weekend. Now, of course, the news that was dominating everything was the sad loss of Niki Lauda. Now, I know he'd been sick, but it did feel a bit like a bolt from the blue, that.
I wasn't expecting it at all, because I remember they were saying, oh, he's on the mend, he's had his transplant, he'll be back in the paddock and raring to go quite shortly. So it seemed much more optimistic than when, say, do you remember when Murray Walker got cancer a couple of years ago? And that sounded like, I'm assuming because he's just old, I was like, oh, well, that'll be the last of Murray. But no, he's basically outliving everyone.
Well, I mean, he and Lauda actually belong to that club of people who, just to me, seem too stubborn to die.
Yes, yeah.
And you know, I don't know, like, Niki Lauda just felt like he was going to go on forever. But of course, there were some touching tributes. Lewis Hamilton was too cut up to do his media obligations. I'm not trying to be a dick about this, but to be fair, he's someone who does whatever he can to get out of his media obligations. But we did see quite a subdued Valtteri talking to the media as well. I get the sense that actually Valtteri was close to Lauda as well. I don't know if he's partly been behind this change in attitude we've seen from Bottas, but I do like 2019 Valtteri Bottas.
That is a good shout, actually. I'd not really thought of that, but yeah, he has got a little bit of Nicky in him now, hasn't he? Because he's just talking, chat shit, get banged. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and because the reason it came to me is because that's what happened with Rosberg the year he won the title, right?
Yes. That
he was coached by Lauda all season. And I do wonder if that's what happened with Bottas. Still, my secret hope now is, given Ferrari literally couldn't organise a piss up in a brewery, my secret hope now is that Bottas wins the title this year. I would love to see that.
Only that, or if they start smashing into each other, Verstappen can do a lull from behind. But I'd rather it be Bottas first, if at all possible. Yeah. Because it's quite clear, as the last two races have seen, is that Ferrari have basically got an allergic reaction to doing anything vaguely positive towards what they're dealing with this year with their car.
As someone who failed to qualify because he didn't leave himself enough time, I've got a feeling some of these cars are not leaving themselves enough time to get round, and everyone who went out on Inters only is still in the pits.
Excellent. 3 minutes 30 to go. I'm going to go out on the harder of the two compounds just to cement myself.
Oh, Carlos Sainz, stop stealing my helmet. Anyway.
That is a documentary I'd like to watch.
That would be a great title for a film, wouldn't it? Like an independent art film.
Yeah.
Like that one, Looking for Eric about Eric Cantona. And just be Carlos, stop stealing my helmet. Anyway, so of course, our best wishes go out to Nicky's family, and he is a sad loss to the sport.
Absolutely.
I'd like to, if that's okay, speak more about him in the next episode, because I've got some stuff I want to prepare. But for now, suffice to say that obviously it's a sad loss to the sport. He was very popular up and down the grid. Most drivers have some level of interaction with him fairly regularly, and of course, the man's career stands as one hell of a legacy.
Yeah.
Now, Monaco. I don't really have much to say about the race itself. It was qualifying that surprised me. What didn't surprise me is the press immediately after the race, where all the major outlets had a story in one form or the other saying it's absurd that Monaco has a protected place on the grid. We get this every year because Monaco is quite often boring. It happened last year, even though I thought last year's race was particularly spicy because of what happened with Daniel Ricciardo. Now, personally, I don't think it's absurd that Monaco is protected. I think F1 needs, at least one track that is sacred. Something that is a continual benchmark for drivers through time. And Monaco is such a unique challenge, and it does occasionally throw up classic races. It's just it's not a continual deliverer. However, I wouldn't put classic as a tag on this particular one, although I will say that, credit where it's due, I did feel Hamilton did everything right.
There
was
some
pressure on him.
Yeah,
there was some pressure on him. Let's be fair. Now, because there's not much to say about the front, let's talk qualifying first of all. Obviously, the big shock was Charles Leclerc not getting out of Q1, much like me today. Again, down to a Ferrari fuck-up. It's hard to really know what's going on there because it seemed they'd done everything right. And then it's just gone continually downhill all season. And Mercedes now have an update package due for the next Grand Prix. And they're just nowhere. I just don't get it.
It's scary because they... It's like they operationally can't make up their mind up and are so indecisive and second guessing that it wouldn't matter if they have the best car anymore anyway, because they can't organise themselves out of a paper bag. And whether that be through actual pit wall decisions or anything like that, but it's also that Vettel is not stepping up to the plate, whereas Charles Leclerc sometimes is, and yoinking that plate, and then they don't quite know what to do with that either. He's a wonderful problem to have, but it exasperates exactly...
Oh no!
It exasperates exactly what the problem is. I'm out of quali as well.
Both of them are out of quali for the same reason. You're basically on the same corner as well.
Boo. I didn't really... Yeah. Never mind. I've been outdone by Sirotkin. What the fuck?
Oh, this won't go down in the annals of glory, will it? Yeah, you've been out-qualified by both Williams. Great session for them, though. 12th and 13th.
Yeah. WTF. Never mind. We'll both have a burn from the back now.
Oh, we should be next to each other on the grid. Because you finished bottom of that session.
Yeah. Oh, well, excellent. Might take an engine penalty. Lol. Not. I could. They just can't engineer themselves out of a paper bag, and I don't understand what their issue is that is making this suddenly become a second guess issue. I wonder if it's because of the ever mounting pressure for results is now starting to seep their way through. But I was hoping that with the change of guard out of Arriva, Benny, goodbye, hello, that would have dissipated, but clearly not.
They're still in that mindset of running it as a one-car team, aren't they? And I just infuriates me to no end, because by the time, like, there has been an evolution, right? Because, previous years it's always been Vettel is completely sacred. We never compromise his race, no matter what. This year it's been more a case of, well, we will ask him to move over, but only when it's definitely too late for it to be helpful.
Yeah.
Like when Charles is really on it and Vettel's struggling, let's let him hold up Charles for a good 5, 6, maybe 7 laps, just for a laugh. And then we'll release Charles when the gap to the car in front has gone from 3 seconds to 11, just to spice things up. Don't make it too easy for the boy. Yeah, the whole thing is really, really infuriating. I agree, it's a great problem to have, but... Oh, actually, what am I going to do on tyres? It's telling me it's best to go Hypersofts, Ultrasofts, but I'm wondering why I
flipped.
Ah, you flipped it.
I flipped it, yeah. So that I can... I'm hoping that because the field will be... Mind you do get a fair bit of field spread around here, but I'm hoping that the inter-battles will mean that will negate the fact that I'm on shittier tyres.
I thought about banging some softs on. But given how far down the grid I am, I don't think it's going to help me. Because I have to stop once anyway, and if ultras have enough life in them, then why would I run soft?
Yeah.
Just no benefit. Okay, selected. Let's get on the warm-up lap. Yeah, it's just it's so disappointing.
Yeah.
It's because I was really hoping Leclerc would light a fire under Vettel, and to some extent he has, but he's just not been allowed to burn. He's sort of singeing his socks a little bit, but he's not allowed to actually get to the point where he's delivering for the team well enough. And then they always pick out, like, I don't know, it seems almost as if they've got a specialist inside the team who looks at all the possible strategies and goes, yes, I think this is the one that makes us most look like a bunch of incompetents. Let's take this one.
But I wonder as well, I think it might have been everyone's favourite grumpy co-commentator say this. It's like they're being ruled by data and not by racer instinct, because they sit there and they're like, analyse the data and see which is fastest, and then that takes 2 laps to do, and then they've made the decision which is now out of date, when actually they should have someone that's there taking the reins saying, right, it's a bit like looking at the monitors to see where the rain is falling when you could just stick your hand out the window. That kind of thing. Yeah.
No, I think that's actually a really good analysis of the problem. They do seem to be doing that. And it's odd to see a team playing so conservative getting it wrong so often. Although in recent years I would have to say that Red Bull have been a team that's proven that actually more often than not the bold call seems to pay off. Like last year when they did 2 double stops that year, and everyone was thinking that was mad, but it was perfectly timed.
Yeah.
Like there was no room for error, but I mean, astonishing stuff. I don't know. This season has gone from being potentially one of the most exciting to just becoming a total snooze fest, and Ferrari are definitely to blame for that, because it's not like they don't have the car or the drivers.
No.
It does lead into one of the spiciest rumours I've heard for a while, though, because word on the internet grapevine is that Vettel is thinking about retiring at the end of this year.
Ooh.
And his replacement will be Perez.
Ooh. Oh, I like the sound of that. Because for me, that one of the things that has come out, and this is going back to what you were saying about Leclerc lighting the fire, 2 times into the barrier at Saint-Devoux. That's not what I expect from a 4-time world champion. No. And it's continuous. It's yet another weekend where he's off in the weeds having a moment. which I think we might have with the AI on this turn 1 because they're fucking brutal.
Yes,
it worries me. I like the thought of Perez at Ferrari though.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was always supposed to be the trajectory for his career, right?
Yes.
He was supposed to go Sauber to Ferrari, and then he went to McLaren for a reason nobody truly understands. I'm sure maybe in 200 years, historians will debate about it at Oxford University, and someone will come up with a reason. But there's not a clear reason so far. Oh, you son of a bitch, Vettel.
I've ruined my front wing.
Yeah, me too. Pit this lap. Box this lap. Soft tyres.
You are doing exactly what I'm trying to do.
Vettel stopped in the middle of the track. I don't know why. He just stopped.
He got
and took off my wing. I gained 10 places through turn 1, and I was looking really good.
They all merged into each other.
And this is my only way back now.
Yeah. No, they all merged into each other with me, and then the Ferraris kind of interlocked with my wheels, and then we all just sped off forward. Really weird.
Oh well. So yeah, with the big news already done, really. I want to talk about Williams because first of all, great job to George Russell.
Yes.
Drive of the season for him, easily. Best result in F1 so far. So, bang up job. But what was interesting was Robert Kubica spoke to the press. And he said, I think my performance in Monaco has shut the doubters up. And I was thinking, has it? Were you in the same race as everybody else?
I mean, he was ahead of George for a little while.
Well, he clarified by saying, well, what I mean is, people said I couldn't drive the circuit with my arm in this condition, and I showed that I can. It's like, well, you did drive it very, very slowly, 1 or 2 major spins. I don't know, and then it sparks the usual Twitterati debate, right? Like, are they going to replace him? And I really don't think they are.
I don't think they are, so long as he's bringing the dosh.
Turns 1 and 2, watch out, debris fucking everywhere.
Oh, okay.
And as I learned in Russia in my career mode playthrough, debris genuinely does pop your tyres. It's on the outside of turn 1 and the exit of turn 2 on the right hand side.
Oh, I've just smacked Hartley down at the end of sector 2 as well, so there'll be some debris there. I'm trying to keep going as long as possible so that I can try and convert a little bit of my tyres.
I'm going to stop again towards the end of the Grand Prix for sure.
But the fastest lap point isn't in this year. Lol. Soz.
No, but I do want to be on the faster tyre at some point.
Oh, hey!
It was only a matter of time before we got 1, wasn't it? But yeah, now I really don't think they're going to replace Kubica, because anyone you put in that car is still going to be in that car. Up against George Russell, who's in really great form, although the car does its best to mask that. And the team really have nothing to lose by leaving him in, as long as he's not binning it.
Yeah. Because they're going to be last anyway, so it doesn't matter if you've got Latifi in, unless he's going to quadruple the amount of money that they can then plough into development. But that will there's a tactics around maybe not putting Latifi in now, because will Daddy Latifi Senior get annoyed if they aren't able to produce results for the money if he pumps in the money now rather than next year, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
Because otherwise they'll have Stroll 2.0 where Daddy Stroll goes and sticks his son in another team.
Yeah, I mean, entirely possible, right? I get the feeling that they will stick with him because the deal's already done, the money's already changed hands, presumably. I don't think he'll be in the car next year.
No.
What has surprised me is that they announced today that they have a major update package coming on to the car.
Oh, awesome.
And I don't want to discourage this, but it does feel a little bit like putting lipstick on a pig. Like, I'm not sure it's a good use of the team's resources. Because the car is so genuinely appalling, I'm just not sure what they hope to get out of this.
I wonder, for me it would depend on what it fixed, because if it can fix, like, the predictability of the car, for me there's flashes of where it could actually rejoin onto the back of the pack potentially, and then it's worthwhile. I think and I think it's also going to be dependent on how dismal maybe other seasons of other teams go. I don't know. I get where you're coming from, though.
Wow, the gap between me and the next car is fucking huge. 29 seconds.
Oh, wow.
To Merrickson. That's mad. Alright, I'm going to have to put my boot down now. See if I can't get a bit of speed out of this thing.
Did you go into softs in the end?
I did, yes. But I'm regretting it.
Right.
I do ultras and hypers, to be honest. The only way it's been a good choice is that it maybe gives me the chance to go to the end of the Grand Prix. So I don't have to stop again, but...
Cool beans.
I mean, yeah, I don't want to discredit them from competing, and, you know, F1's about picking yourself up, dusting yourself off and carrying on. I just think it's been a long time since I've seen a car so fundamentally flawed.
Well done, Williams.
That I don't know why you would spend money trying to fix something that's so clearly broken instead of throwing all your money into building something better for the next year.
Yeah, or at least, like, this is specifically like B spec and we have fundamentally changed our design.
Yeah, yeah. It's a shame because I still think it's quite a good looking car, really, but
oh yeah,
it just
makes me but
it's bad at being a racing car, which is unfortunate. If it was a paperweight or a doorstop, then wonderful, but it just happens to be really poor at being a racing car.
Yeah, and that comes back to the fact that it can't turn and it's draggy, so it's like, what you doing right, car? What you doing right?
Yeah, and also it's very weird on its tyres, I believe. Like, I've heard both drivers say, like, you don't know how it's going to behave between one lap and the next.
Yeah.
I'm actually interested to see. I'm going to do my career mode on the new game starting at Williams, and I'm interested to see how it feels, how Codemasters go about replicating that. A car that doesn't require any major fixing, to my mind, is the Toro Rosso, and I've been looking forward to talking about Toro Rosso because they're my little stars of the season, to be honest, so far. Aren't they doing a fucking bang-up job?
Yes, they are. They are doing superbly. Both drivers driving really, really well, and Monaco is a circuit where you need to be able to have a car underneath you that's predictable, that you can mould around your driving style and what you do, and they both drove it proper out the park.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Kvyat is a man reborn, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly, you know, my perception of Red Bull has completely turned on its head, because I'll be honest with you, I had very low expectations of Albon. And very, very low expectations of Kvyat. In fact, I was pretty sure he was going to get fired before the race began in Australia. I do like to imagine that every Grand Prix, Helmut Marko sat in the energy station holding a stamp, just hovering a stamp over his P45. And then every time he drives too well, and then he just goes to bed muttering that night. He's just itching to fire him.
Yeah.
Nudging people in the canteen saying, has he helped himself to 2 croissants? Oh, I'll fire him, so help me God.
Spag. Every time he goes down to the grid, you can see him out the window waving the P45. This is why we've now got a wooden energy station, so that it can watch it burn as you get fired and walk away.
He's been really delivering. Honda have been delivering. I think Honda have been one of the surprises of the season.
Yeah.
And then Alex Albon, what a revelation.
Mm-hmm.
And I still feel Pierre Gasly shouldn't be... I know he's found a bit of speed recently, but I don't think he should be feeling too comfortable at all.
No way. And the reason why Gasly is looking like he's found a bit of speed, admittedly he was in some sessions on par with Verstappen when Verstappen had slightly less running. But Gasly is now starting to fit into that gap where 6th is fine, because there's a decent enough gap back to the rest of the teams, so you can kind of slot in there and just be like, oh, I'm half a second off. Oh well, 6th is fine. That won't wash for Red Bull for very long, so he needs to make another step improvement. And the interesting one is, but coming into the season, there is no way that I would have initially thought that Kvyat would ever have been considered to be put back into that team. Now no. I'm not so sure. I'd still find it maybe the long shot and that they would go for Albon out of the two, but you can't deny that he has also been proper rock on, and it kind of makes you go, oh, maybe circumstances have changed. Would you give him another shot at Red Bull?
I'm going to have to disagree with your analysis that it's a long shot, because there's been moments already this season where I've been watching him on track and thinking it's gone from being like a long shot in my mind to a pretty obvious choice, actually. I'm hoping they've learnt their lesson. Like, Kvyat's got enough experience under his belt that I think it's fine to move him up. I wouldn't put someone like Albon in his first or second season.
No.
And I think, I don't know, I still have very little faith that Gasly will maintain the required level of performance over a season. Whereas I think Kvyat has the chops to do the dance with Verstappen. I really do believe that. I mean, let's not forget, because the problem is Kvyat was fairly unfairly maligned, because let's be honest, his bad reputation comes from 2 perfectly innocent racing incidents with Sebastian Vettel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was it, right? He was. Yeah. He'd been on the podium, and I remember back in, was it 2016? It was our last year on PC, yeah, 2016. And we were talking about him being on the podium and no one at Red Bull giving a flying fuck.
Yeah.
Like, nobody cared. Nobody cared. Right, but if you rewind to even a year or two before that, Kvyat was like a big deal. He was very, very highly rated, and I remember being impressed with him at Toro Rosso. Like, he had that Ricciardo quality of being calm under pressure, and then it somehow all got lost.
Yeah.
By having his confidence shaken so badly, by Red Bull just hammering the bejesus out of him. Oh no!
Oh, hello. There's got to be one of these moments for the last... Oh, yeah, you've got it. So I was running 8th when I pitted.
Pit stops seem to take a forever amount of time on this circuit.
Because of the weird pit lane limiter before you get to the final corner, I think.
I've been pushing pretty hard, and I'm still nowhere near Van Dorn. Can't even see him.
No, but Stroll is at the head of that pack, holding everyone up. So basically, you've got I think it's about 12th onwards, all in a massive line. So you'll leapfrog them all.
Good. I think you're faster than me.
I'm on the hypers, coming through.
I am going to race you because it's the last race of the season.
Ooh.
Oh, I want to watch that back on replay because that was actually quite beautiful.
Oh, I've gone in deep dish.
I was going to say, you've gone a bit Chicago town there, haven't you?
Always pleasing when I'm cheesing.
Yeah, all right. These tyres are bullshit.
Oh, wow. Oh.
Yeah, I don't think I want to lose any more time. Do you think I can go to the end on Ultras?
Well, that's what I'm planning. Ultras, yeah, I've gone hyper. Because I was going to pit on lap 16, so you've got 17 to go. You'll be perfect.
Box this lap. Ultra soft tyres. The stint on softs has done me zero favours. Yeah, so I was thrown off there by us actually doing some racing for a brief moment.
I know. On this racing podcast, how dare we?
I know, shocking. So, of course, we've both been very impressed by our Toro Rossos. Double points finish for them. I think, you know, we have our consensus, right? That Gasly really needs to watch himself, and he has been improving. Let's you know.
Oh yeah.
But and you know, we have to give him some credit because he's, for my money, been up against the driver of the season.
Yes, absolutely.
As much as I hate Verstappen's attitude, like, he's just had such a stellar season.
He's driven out of
really,
the park.
really stepped it up. He's been driving so much more maturely. And this is what we were always asking for from him, right? For years. That's all we wanted. He's got the pace, he just needed the racecraft, and it seems he's definitely got it. He's been on top of his game. So, you know, I think he gets something of a pass in some respect, because it's kind of hard to measure yourself against someone of Verstappen's calibre and form. Right, let's see if I can fucking catch anyone now before I get lapped.
Right, the car behind has come in to put on the ultra soft tyre. That's the car behind, now on the ultra softs.
Oh fuck! I've just noticed, even though I asked for the hypersoft, they've put on the ultras, so I'm gonna have to stop again anyway.
Ah.
Oh well, let's banzai these tyres.
I have to say, these do feel a lot better than those fucking softs did. Like, just immediately. The softs felt like I was driving with full fuel all the time. Like, I tried them in practice as well, and it just made the car feel very lumping and heavy. Right, who else do we need to talk about? Let's talk McLaren.
Oh yes, please.
Because I thought it was another pretty good showing from the boys in orange.
Yeah, particularly from Carlos Sainz doing another fine job. In what I'd like to say is we're going to ignore everything he does because we're British press season. Poor Carlos never gets any kind of shout out from any kind of British press, because if it's not we're wanking over Alonso, now it's we're wanking over Lando, and look at how well he's doing on his debut season, matching and getting close to Carlos. And I'm like, yes. But I think the last couple of races, actually, it's shown Carlos's maturity over those few seasons matches his speed. And whilst I have been impressed with what Lando has been doing, Sainz is now being able to bring that car home and convert some of those really great results into some good points. And Monaco is another good example of that.
Yeah, I mean, also I think Carlos is paying the price for a lot of bad luck at the start of the season because, to my mind, he should be carrying a lot more points than he has right now, and I think it's going to, at the end of the year, it's going to subdue what's been quite a good season for McLaren. Really, I mean, they're fairly often best of the rest.
Yeah.
In real terms, which is, that's a hell of a step up from being, basically last. And certainly something they needed after they completely embarrassed themselves at Indy.
Absolutely.
I have to say it's a bit mean, but I did laugh. I mean, like out loud laugh, not just internal laugh.
Yeah.
When I saw that they'd failed to qualify with Alonso, and I'm just thinking, like, when will you let him go? It's obviously a doomed marriage.
Some things just aren't meant to be. It was gloriously
it's always
terrible.
the way, isn't it? It's always been the way with Alonso throughout his career. Like, teams start getting good as soon as he leaves, and I think it damages his legacy.
Did you read the catalogue of errors that continued to just pile up? Because it made me really, really surprised, because having read that Bob Fernley was in charge of this, I would have expected much better project management from all of that kind of thing, so that they were aware that everything had gone horribly wrong so early, to kind of scoop it back up again, and it just never happened.
No, it didn't, did it? Did not happen at all.
Because we rate Bob Fernley for all of the stuff that he's done throughout the Force India years, of managing such a small budget and all of those problems, and we was really concerned when he was pushed from Racing Point Badger-Stroll.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I still think he's a great loss to Racing Point Badger for Stroll eyebrows.
He adds a new thing every season.
Well, because they have gone backwards a little bit, haven't they? They haven't got the new update working, but we'll come to them.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, I have to say, Bob Fernley, I do rate. Never before have I been so impressed by a fat, sweaty ginger man. He did fantastic work. I'm not gonna mock the guy, really. He's done amazing work, and I've got a great deal of respect for Big Bob. I don't know what possessed McLaren to think that they could just have it all their own way, and because we said, there's a chance they'll leave F1 and go to Indy because they maybe can't get out of the wilderness in Formula 1, and at least in IndyCar they don't have to, build their own components or whatnot.
Yeah.
They just have to run the racing team. But I think this has shown that it was never going to be that easy, and just because it's a spec car doesn't mean the teams you're up against are not vastly more experienced with that spec and the tracks and this form of racing. I'll be honest, I laughed and I was pleased to see them fail, mostly because I just didn't want to see McLaren disappear from Formula 1. And if they'd gone in there and nearly won with Alonso, or had like a really good showing, that would only increase the odds of them walking away from Formula 1, because they can compete in a prestigious sport for a fraction of the cost.
Yeah.
But also, it also ties in with this Americanization of the brand by Zach Brown, which is actually really starting to bug me. Like, I'm a McLaren guy through and through. I love McLaren, but he's doing his best to make them an American team. And, remember last year, those halcyon days where I joked about them sticking a Chevy engine in a McLaren, and then they go and fucking do it.
You were a prophet before your time, sir.
We've got so good at predicting things that even the jokes come true now. I felt like writing in the letter saying, it was a joke. Like, maybe cut out,
it was a joke.
Using letters cut out from a newspaper.
I think they listen to our podcasts. We don't have many
I think
hits.
all the teams.
Yeah. One listen per team. We're done.
Yeah. No. So yeah, impressive driving. I think a very demanding track, and I think the McLaren has been shown to actually be quite adaptable across different kinds of circuits as well. That's the truly encouraging thing for me. That they've been performing better than expected across a wide range of circuits.
And also performing better than... Oh, I think I'm about to say exactly what you were going to say. Go for it.
Unlike Renault, or Haas for that matter, but particularly Renault, we don't have that many laps left, so we're going to have to pick up the pace a little bit. What the bloody hell is going on at Renault? I mean, to be fair to Ricciardo, he had a great qualifying session, but he is something of a Monaco specialist, so that didn't surprise me very much. And I think Hülkenberg was much more representative of where the car actually belonged.
Yeah.
I mean, what... How could it have gone so desperately wrong? That's what I'm really struggling with.
I have no idea, but but they don't seem to... I know they were talking about like some issues that they've had in general, like we've had trouble switching on the tyres and the grip problems are the same as what we've had previous years, blah 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 blah. But it just seems to be like the fall from grace is much greater this year. I don't know if it's because the pack is so much more closer, but there is no way that I would have expected in Spain to have Renaults out in Q1, and then Azerbaijan they were anonymous as well, which we mentioned last time. Monaco, Hülkenberg absolutely nowhere. Bizarre, and they feel rudderless. And I know you've mentioned it beforehand, but with the changes of ownership and like leaders in Renault in general, it must put more pressure that they're paying out a big salary for Ricciardo, who is dragging them back up to positions that they should be on a bad week.
Yeah, I mean, and he's only just started to do that, really. I mean, based on his form right at the start of the season, I was really worried that he was going to really damage his career. And I just didn't see it coming. It's one of the few things that I didn't predict. I really thought Renault were going to be there this year, and pre-season testing seemed to indicate that I was right. And for my money, they have one of the best driver lineups on the grid. I thought, okay, this is going to be it now. This is where we start to see the benefits of being a manufacturer works team, but it's just not going to happen, is it? And I don't think it's going to happen next year.
No, because I can't see where that step forward can take place, because they fundamentally don't seem to be able to cure what's wrong this time round either.
No, and the power unit seems to be weak source. Although for some reason McLaren are able to get quite a bit out of it.
I wonder how that's down to packaging or anything like that. You've got me.
I just set the fastest lap as well.
Juice.
So we're getting somewhere. Still P11 though. I don't know if I'm going to get points or not.
I am hypers.
I might have to stop again, to be honest.
No. For the fans.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't really have any answers about Renault, it's kind of hard to talk much more about them, really. I mean, obviously, Ricciardo wasn't able to convert his qualifying to a race result.
No, although partly that was down to a strategy call that I probably would have done the same with as well. I sat and ummed and ahed about this afterwards, because they came in early because we had the safety car or virtual safety car, I can't remember what it was, to sort out the debris and stuff from the pile up and issues that were going on. And so in theory, yes, you would then gain track position in general, but then afterwards Oh, you're out!
Yeah.
Oh, dude, no!
Yeah, I jumped on the power too aggressively because I saw you were catching me and I thought, not today.
Oh, dude! No!
It's alright, now I can go on board with you.
Oh, mate. That's, that, do you know what? That is the entrance of a finale of a season that only happens to champions, so consider it well. what was I going to say? Then I considered that actually in Monaco you never give up track position for anything, so I would have stayed out. But I can see exactly why they did pit.
Well, I mean, I actually had the same thing, right? Because it definitely occurred to me that I probably would have pitted under the safety of the car as well, because it's become accepted wisdom, right? That's what you do. Safety car comes out, you pit because it's a stop at a reduced price. But you're right, like, given Monaco doesn't seem super demanding on the tyres, and track position being so important, the logical thing to do on hindsight would have been to leave him out. I agree, but I probably, again, I agree with you. I would have brought him in as well. I would have done. So kind of hard to say how we could critique them really, other than it seems obvious in hindsight. But often things do that aren't in the moment. So I try to avoid being too mean on them. Mm-hmm. Oh, you and Fernando were ghosty there. Let's talk about Haas.
Oh.
Still an ugly car. Something I did notice is that Rich Energy lost a court case a few weeks back about the Stag logo, and are banned from using it. And then the Stag logo was fucking everywhere.
Yes.
Like everywhere. Like on Paddock Pass, they were talking to Grosjean, and he was stood in front of a wall covered in them. And I was thinking, aren't you supposed to not be using that logo because you don't own it? But apparently no one cares. It's only me. It's only me who pays attention to what the judge says. Gene doesn't give a shit.
Well, I know that they've got new team kit as a result of it, but I'm not sure quite what's happened with the old ones or what they need to do with any of it, to be honest. Because that was the big rumour in FP1, was when they got black flagged to return to the pits, and Sky F on commentary were basically going, is this because the court case has shown that they've got this logo on their car and they've pulled some kind of like court judgment in and they've had to return back in? But it turned out that actually they just lost all of their radio communication, and so they basically held out the black flag to get them back into the pits as soon as possible, because it was deemed unsafe to have no communication with them. But it was a good little side story anyway. Much like their tyre wear and tyre ability to make things work.
Yeah, I mean, out of all the cars, that's definitely the mystery car for me this year.
Yeah.
Now, actually, while we were talking that, I just popped into the Haas team store.
Oh, yeah.
And their merchandise has been changed to not contain the Stag logo.
Oh.
That must have cost them quite a bit of money, because the merchandise was already printed. But I'm pleased to see that they've done it for their fans.
I wonder if they've got like a certain period of time of a grace period before they have to like enact with it all.
Because what I noticed is that the Williams racing merchandise doesn't have the Rocket logo on it.
Oh.
And
hedging
actually,
the bets.
I know this is really weird, but this is why I'm not buying it. I wanted a shirt, but I don't know why, but I feel like I'm being ripped off if I don't have all the logos. I honestly, I don't know why. I saw it and I was like, no, I'm out. That, and they're charging €100 for a shirt, which I think is fucking outrageous, coming from a team at the back of the
team.
Yeah. But yeah, back to Haas. Again, a car they don't really seem to understand. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I still don't know why Grosjean is there, really.
Especially with K-Mag's amazing performance, especially in qualifying. That was beautiful.
K-Mag's has been, I think for about 3 years now, been really, really good. Like he's on the pace or punching above it for where his car should be more times than he's not, I'm finding.
Mm-hmm.
Like, He's the one who pulls it out in qualifying. He's the one who gets his elbows out in the race and keeps it on the track.
Yes.
And he's got, I don't know, he's got this ability to be somewhat arrogant in his driving, but get away with it.
Yeah. And people are now slightly fearful because they're like, oh, it's fucking K-Mags, he's a nutcase, steer clear. So it's almost like his reputation precedes him, because some people will not go for a move on K-Mags that they might go for on other people because they know he's an absolute crazy mofo.
Now, I know we've had this conversation about 11 billion times, but is Grosjean going to be there next season?
I don't think he will be, to be perfectly honest. And one of the reasons why I don't think he will be there next year is actually one of the very few things that were worthwhile talking about the Spanish Grand Prix, where the two of them nearly took each other out because he was being Grosjean with his moves to try and get that place back, when actually Haas, especially when they were having one of the very few races where their tyre was actually working, both cars in the points, he went and then caused an error with that and lost points as a result and nearly fell out of it because then his tyres didn't work again afterwards. And for me, that just showed that actually he is... I know all drivers are out for themselves, but at that point, with a team that was desperate for points and to get themselves back on the board, you play the team game, you don't play the row game.
But that's the thing, right? What I was going to say was, do you think it's because he knows he's driving for his career?
Yeah, absolutely. And they've got, if you look at Haas and what they've got in terms of driver development, Louis Delatraz was second, nearly won the photo finish in the F2 race at Monaco. He's had a very up and down season, to be honest. So I don't think he'll get the nod. But Ferrucci got Indy 500 Rookie of the Year award. He is an absolute twat as a human being, but as a racing driver he seems to be showing his clout more. Options are out there for Haas, whether they want an American driver or one of their development drivers to come up through the ranks. Grosjean is on his last legs.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think he's gone from the sport unless he really picks things up, because I honestly don't know who'd take him. Because, you know, for the last 4 laps, you know, let's get into some silly season mode here. Let's just say Vettel does retire, and the rumor is true. Yeah. We know Raikkonen isn't retiring.
Nope.
I don't think they'll bin Giovinazzi from Sauber.
No, because he's picked himself up a wee bit over the last few races. So as long as he continues that, he'll be all right.
Yeah. But let's say Perez goes to Ferrari from Force India Badger Eyebrow Stroll.
Yeah.
I don't see Grosjean being taken to them.
No.
I don't know who they'd take, but I just couldn't see it being Grosjean. I'll be honest, I think next season there's going to be 3 open seats, and those seats will belong to Romain Grosjean, Robert Kubica, and potentially Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah.
But even then, I'm not totally certain about Vettel, to be honest. I'm not super convinced of that rumour. It just was tantalising enough to catch my eye. Hulkenberg's still got a year to run on his Renault contract, and I don't think he's done a bad job considering where the car is.
No.
McLaren can be very happy with their driver lineup.
Yeah.
I think George Russell will be in a Mercedes seat before Ocon will. And I don't think Mercedes are in a rush to change their driver lineup either. Red Bull might do a switcheroo, but that's about it. Alfa Romeo, their driver lineup is fixed. Yeah, I just... He's got to be gone, hasn't he? He's got to be gone. And I don't know actually if Haas might lose some other people as well behind the scenes, because it's getting to the point now where it seems like they're really running out of excuses to not maximise their package.
Yeah.
And given they buy so much off the shelf, it's not even like I feel I can say, okay, well, they've just gone the wrong direction with the car. It still seems to me that they're just not getting all the bits to work together optimally.
Yeah. And I know we've said this a million times, but you maybe probably have much more of an intimate feel if you made it yourself. Hence the problem of being a buy off the shelf.
Yeah, and I just don't think Gene's ready to take the step to spend the extra money to do that, despite being in that industry. And given that one of his sponsors is potentially fictitious, it's probably smart.
Yeah.
That'll be another casualty, I think. I think Rich Energy will be a casualty. I don't think we'll see them on the car next year. I've got a feeling that it will get to the end of the season and remaining money won't change hands.
Yeah, I wonder how
That's
they've
just a
done
feeling
that.
I've got.
I wonder how they've done that sponsorship deal, because there's still no. You can only promote a drink that no one can seem to buy very often for a little while before actually you need to sell the stuff and get some bank money coming in. The guy looks homeless enough as it is. Let's not make it reality.
He does look super homeless, doesn't he? I didn't want to be the first to say it, but you're right. I'm going to do a quick Google search now for the last laps. Can I buy Rich Energy anywhere?
I've seen people drink it from the team, and so I know that I know that it exists, and they say it tastes like every other carbonated energy drink, to be perfectly honest. But what was I going to say? Initially, I didn't realise that the logo was a stag when I saw the guy. I just thought he'd flipped his beard upside down.
Actually, I'm looking at it now, and it does look a bit like that. Actually, there's an article here on jalopnik.com.
That well known.
My journey to find Rich Energy at the Indy 500 ends with more questions than answers. So that's definitely a read for afterwards.
Excellent.
In the first paragraph, it even contains the sentence, somehow manages to sponsor a Formula One team.
Superb.
Yeah, I just want to take a look here if I can buy this anywhere except their own shop. And the thing is, I also want to point out, by the way, that you or I, and I was thinking of doing this as a joke, you or I could pay a company to make Failcast branded energy drinks, and it would cost next to nothing.
Is this a thing? Is this where we go to like Tea Store or Teespring, and
No,
they find
I mean
out?
have you heard of the energy drink 28 Black?
No.
It's like one of the big three energy or big four energy drink companies.
Oh, I didn't know.
They have a custom can option on their website.
Oh, this is a thing.
But also there's loads of them, because basically energy drinks outside of Red Bull and Monster, they all have a pretty generic recipe, right? And all they do is just change the can sleeve. And that's just like printing. It's like no different to t-shirt printing. So, we could be selling Failcast before you know it.
Oh my god.
Actually, no, as a stunt to promote the podcast, we should maybe do that, because we can get a case of 24. A case of 24 for less than 30 quid. Right? And then we mail these cans to people, and I bet we can get more cans of more pictures on Instagram of people drinking our energy drink than of Rich Energy.
Oh yes, this needs to this needs to be. Oh, we're doing this.
Yeah,
we're
right.
Doing this.
Let me check now. Let me see how much it's going to cost. Oh,
I wonder what Fail Energy does sound good.
or Failcast.
Failurgy. That's that has religious suppression connotations in it, like that.
And then of course we've got to talk about flavour. What is the taste? What is the taste of failure?
It's the taste of pastor mixed with.
Yeah, I mean, because we've got a lot of option here. We've got guava, passion fruit, pink grapefruit, acai berry, sour mango and kiwi, sour cherry. I mean,
it
I
should
think
be sour for sour grapes because we failed so fucking hard.
Oh,
yes.
That's what we'll call it. Sour grape flavour. Oh, this markets itself.
Yes.
Oh, amazing. Right, I'm gonna email you about this later. Anyway, we should finish the podcast since you're on the final lap. A great drive, by the way, getting yourself back up to 6, you little rapscallion.
Yeah, it was a good choice to go onto these tyres. They're just about dead in the water now, so if you were still going, you'd have slipped and slid your way around the last 4 or 5 laps. But I think you might have been able to hold on to it because you're much better on the tyres than I am in general, and I'm on 56% wear on my rears.
Oh yeah, probably I might have been able to make it then, you're right. So the last team we haven't discussed yet was Mercedes, and that's because it feels like there's very little to say.
Can I briefly talk about Hamilton's headspace and how he needs to be basically coached around? Because I wasn't quite sure if he was trying to inject drama into the Monaco Grand Prix on purpose, or if he really is that skittish and needy, because it's fine, just drive a wide car. Why would you in Monaco even consider I've got to stop for tyres, man? Because you know you're screwed. Sorry, that was just my, when you're watching a TV show and you're just like, we know we've got a plot point that means everyone has to be somewhere, so why is everyone taking the thickest fucking decisions ever to make sure this plot point happens? It just felt like that to me. That was my only rant. Sorry, continue.
Well, there was some conspiracy theories, right? Wasn't there, that Mercedes had to win for Niki Lauda?
Oh yeah.
For the story. I mean, I don't think that's how it worked necessarily, but
no.
What you saw with Lewis in that Grand Prix is very reminiscent of what you saw with Rosberg in 2013. Before he came back with that fresh mindset and won the championship. Because you remember in 2013, his engineer was always saying, "I can't tell you how to drive the car, Nico."
Oh yeah.
And I think there was sort of an air of that, and I don't know where it's coming from. I think also maybe the fact that Bottas is a bit more awake is maybe starting to make him feel a little bit more concerned. But still, I felt it was actually quite a good drive. It was a good drive. It just boring. It just bored the arse off me. I mean, what more is there to say? I'm really worried that we've entered a lull in terms of Grand Prix, because I'm not expecting anything exciting to happen in Canada either, and it gives us very little to work with as podcasters. Because how many variations of Mercedes 1 can you really come up with when nothing else is happening? I mean, we didn't even get 10 minutes out of Ferrari ballsing up Charles Leclerc's qualifying run.
No. Because,
what do you say? It just happens every week. They ball something up, and we've talked to death about the points. So, yeah, for me, I think my biggest concern now is to see Bottas lift himself back up in the championship to close down Lewis a little bit and hopefully give us anyone could win it Abu Dhabi. And I would love to see him win it. I really would. I think we're overdue for another Finnish champion, but that's just my opinion. So we finished the season. You've beaten me this year by 20 points. And we've equalled our... Haven't we equalled our best ever finish of third in the Constructors?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm sure we were third with the household.
I think we were as well, third or fourth.
So now we have an announcement for the next episode, which is going to be 1 week and 2 days from today. So that's a week on Saturday for those calendar enthusiasts among you. And it's going to be something of a special episode because with the new game coming out earlier than expected, it's kind of buggered up our season plans, and we want to be able to dive into the new game as soon as possible. Incidentally, we're accepting input on which team we should drive for. So join us in a week and 2 days where we'll be attempting to drive IndyCar on Project Cars 2. And I'm going to be breaking out my wheel for the first time on the stream. And we're going to see if we can outperform McLaren by actually having a racing lap around Indy. I guess we should both practice quite a bit between now and then to find what sort of skill level we're capable of competing at. I've driven IndyCar once before, and it was fucking terrifying. I was just, all the way around, because until you get up to speed, the car is very, very slippery. And once you do get up to speed, like, you sneeze or you scratch your arm and you're in the barrier. It's completely mad, but I'm sure it'll be very, very entertaining, and we hope you will join us.
Absolutely. I think we might need terminal damage off for that one.
Yes, quite possibly. But it will be fun. So, thank you everyone who stopped by and everyone who comes by and watches on the replay. I do still see that we get way more viewers on the replay on my streams than we do on live.
Agree.
I also want to put a question out to everybody, and people still reach out to me on Twitter, so please feel free to do so. Mm-hmm. How do people feel about us moving to a midweek slot? Because I'm interested in taking a poll, because what I've noticed is, with the exception of today, we tend to do much better on live episodes during the midweek than we do on the weekend. Yeah. So, you know, I think it's good to gauge people's opinions, so we'd love to hear from you on that. Mm-hmm. Other than that, we will see you in a week and 2 days, and then after that, it's a brand new season.
A brand new world. Look forward to it. I need to get my pre-order in for the game. So, yeah, thank you, everyone. You guys take care, and happy tacoing.
Toodles, bye.